The news speaks of the world out there, but retirement is when we prepare for ourselves.
JPMorgan has just released a new research report on retirement spending based on data from more than 280,000 retirees. The findings challenge long-held beliefs about retirement finances, ideas that many experts, advisors, and even we ourselves have always considered true. And most importantly, there are 3 surprising discoveries in this report that may force you to rethink your entire retirement plan. When it comes to preparing for retirement, many people tend to focus almost entirely on how much money they have saved, but in reality, the decisive factor lies in how they will spend that money. Retirement spending is crucial because it directly reflects living needs, comfort level, and financial security throughout the rest of life. Without understanding your actual spending patterns, you could face 2 dangerous scenarios: underestimating your expenses and running out of money in later years, or overestimating them and forcing yourself to keep working longer than necessary. Retirement spending is not just a fixed monthly number. It is a combination of many elements such as housing, food, healthcare, entertainment, travel, and even contributions to family, charity, or personal hobbies. Moreover, spending changes across different stages of life. In the early years of retirement, you may want to spend more to enjoy life. Later, it may decrease, and then healthcare costs tend to rise with age. This is why understanding your real spending picture is far more important than simply looking at your account balance. It allows you to more accurately determine how much you truly need for a secure retirement and also helps you decide the right time to stop working. A successful retirement plan is not just about saving as much as possible, but about predicting how you will actually spend, while staying flexible and prepared for unexpected changes in the future. The first finding shows that for many years, the concept of the retirement smile has been a popular model used by financial experts and individuals to imagine how spending evolves after retirement. According to this model, people tend to spend a lot in the early years of retirement because they have more free time for travel, shopping, and leisure activities. Then, spending is believed to decline as life becomes simpler and less active, only to rise again at the end of life due to increasing medical and healthcare costs. However, the latest JPMorgan study, based on data from more than 280,000 clients, reveals a completely different reality that challenges this long-held belief. Specifically, the study found that spending does not follow the smile-shaped curve that people have assumed. Instead, spending typically peaks between the ages of 45 and 49, averaging nearly $90,000 per year. This is considered the stage when income is strong and stable, while family, housing, and lifestyle demands are also at their highest. But after this age, overall spending begins to decline steadily over time and does not rise again significantly in later life. Even though healthcare costs do increase toward the end of life, they are not enough to drive overall spending back up as the traditional retirement smile model suggests. Other spending categories such as housing, including mortgages, food and beverages, entertainment, and everyday consumption, decrease notably with age, pulling total spending down. On the other hand, some categories such as healthcare and medical care do rise with age, and even spending on charity or gifts tends to increase, but the growth in these areas cannot offset the decline in the main categories. This demonstrates that the allocation of spending changes substantially over different life stages rather than following a familiar curve that we once believed. The significance of this finding is critical because it shows that past assumptions about retirement spending may no longer be accurate. If you continue to base your planning on the retirement smile model, you may miscalculate the amount of money you will actually need or choose an inappropriate time to retire. This study emphasizes the necessity of adopting a more flexible approach that is grounded in real data and accounts for shifting spending behaviors with age instead of relying on an outdated model. What matters most is reassessing your entire spending and saving plan to ensure it truly reflects your needs in every stage of life. The second finding in JPMorgan's research is called the spending surge, a fascinating and fairly common phenomenon in the early stage of retirement. This typically occurs in households where one person officially retires while the other continues to work, a situation referred to as being partially retired. According to the data, these households tend to experience a significant increase in spending during the 12 months before and after the retirement of one member. This is the period when income from pensions, Social Security, or other retirement sources begins to flow into the household budget, creating a noticeable boost compared to before. The spending surge is especially evident among households with pre-retirement income below $150,000 per year. The main reason is that during their working years, these families often had to postpone or give up certain wants and needs because of financial limitations. When retirement income starts coming in, they tend to use it to make up for those deferred desires, such as traveling, renovating their homes, purchasing long-awaited items, or investing in personal and family experiences. As a result, their spending patterns often spike like a wave during this period before gradually tapering off over time. In contrast, among households with pre-retirement income above $150,000 a year, the spending surge is much less pronounced. This is because these families usually had a stronger financial foundation, did not need to sacrifice as many needs in the past, and were able to maintain a comfortable lifestyle even before retiring. Therefore, when they enter retirement, there is not much pent-up demand to release, and their spending remains relatively stable. This finding carries important implications for financial planning, as it shows that retirement spending is not always steady and can include unexpected surges, especially for middle and lower-income families. If not accounted for, this surge could put significant pressure on savings and long-term plans. That is why it is crucial to be aware of the spending surge and to prepare a flexible budget that anticipates this high spending phase at the beginning of retirement, while ensuring that once the surge subsides, there are still enough resources to sustain a stable and secure lifestyle for the rest of life. The third finding in JPMorgan's research is called spending volatility, an important yet often overlooked factor in retirement planning. The study shows that not everyone maintains a steady spending habit. Some people are what the report calls steady eddies, meaning their spending stays fairly consistent year after year, while others experience much greater swings, sometimes spending more than expected and at other times cutting back suddenly. This volatility comes not only from personal habits, but also from unpredictable life events, such as sudden increases in healthcare costs, the need to repair or upgrade a home, providing financial support to children or grandchildren, or covering expenses for unexpected situations. What the research emphasizes is that volatility tends to increase with age. The older people get, the more likely they are to face irregular expenses, particularly in areas like medical care and health services. Volatility also differs across spending categories. Fixed expenses like housing are relatively stable, while categories such as travel, leisure, family support, or gifts fluctuate much more. This has major implications for retirement planning because relying solely on average spending levels can create a false sense of security. A low average does not mean you will not encounter periods of sharply higher expenses, and months of lower spending do not guarantee enough savings to cover sudden costs. Therefore, when creating a retirement plan, it is crucial to account for volatility by setting aside contingency funds or adopting flexible strategies to handle the unexpected. The study shows that understanding whether you are someone with steady spending habits or someone prone to volatility is a key factor in making accurate forecasts and preparing effectively. If your spending is irregular, you need a larger safety cushion to avoid financial shortfalls. If you are more consistent, you can feel more secure but still need to prepare for surprises. The ultimate meaning of this finding is that a successful retirement plan cannot rely only on simple averages, but must reflect the realities of life with all of its uncertainties. The lessons and conclusions drawn from JPMorgan's research provide a fresher and more realistic perspective on how we should approach financial planning for retirement. First, the long-held assumption that spending will rise again in the later years of life is not accurate. The study shows that spending actually peaks during midlife, around ages 45 to 49, and then steadily declines with age. Even though healthcare costs do increase in the later years, this rise is not enough to push overall spending back up in the way the traditional retirement smile model once suggested. This means that financial preparation should be based on the reality that overall spending tends to decrease, not rebound, allowing people to adjust their saving and spending strategies more appropriately. Second, The research highlights the phenomenon of a spending surge that occurs when one person in a household retires while the other continues working. This effect is especially pronounced in households with pre-retirement income below $150,000 per year, where spending often spikes in the 12 months before and after retirement as families try to make up for things they had postponed in the past. Such a surge can put significant pressure on finances if not anticipated. Therefore, a wise retirement plan should not only account for long-term average spending, but also include a buffer for this initial surge to ensure financial balance is not disrupted. Third, spending volatility is an important factor that must be considered. Not everyone spends consistently. Some people maintain steady habits, but others show much larger swings in their expenses. Volatility tends to increase with age and varies by category, with items like travel, leisure, gifts, and family support often showing the greatest fluctuations. This means that relying solely on average spending levels to plan for retirement can be misleading and may leave you vulnerable to shortfalls when faced with unexpected spikes in costs. Preparing for volatility by building contingency funds and keeping your financial plan flexible is essential for long-term security. From these 3 lessons, the ultimate message is clear. If you want a safe and fulfilling retirement, you need to understand your own spending patterns instead of relying on outdated assumptions. More importantly, your retirement plan must be flexible and adaptable to unexpected changes. Preparation rooted in real data and clear awareness of personal spending behavior will help you enter retirement with confidence and peace of mind, rather than worry about unforeseen financial shocks.